is Ben Perez. I am Nick Perez, and we are the Box Brothers podcast.
Welcome.
Sorry, I stole your spotlight, Ben.
No. Well, everyone, welcome back to the Box Brothers podcast. We have a great show for you. I know we didn't do an emergency podcast, and that's okay. We're busy. This is a fun thing that we do. So I was also out for work up in Ohio this week. So we are now here to talk about the breaking news from a few days ago. The dust has kind of settled from what's been going on in the F1 world, but let's get into it and let's talk about the biggest news of Christian Horner getting ousted from Red Bull. So Nick, take it away. Let's start us wherever you see fit.
You know, bombshell dropping middle of the season, kind of a crazy thing to just wake up to in the morning because it broke in Europe.
It broke 7 a.m. or 5 a.m. our time. I literally looked at my phone first thing to check our social medias, and I see Christian Horner ousted from Red Bull. I was like, ooh, I need to send this up to Nick. But yeah, very early over here.
And then it didn't even give us time to react or speculate who was going to be the next team principal because Red Bull just went boom, boom, boom. And hired all the people.
Here's Lauren Meckies. It was funny because I had even commented on F1 news, or I think it was F1 news or some racing news picture, post on Instagram. And I was like, well, now that Horner's out, who does everyone think is going to be in the team principal spot? And as soon as I posted it, 2 comments right after it's Lauren Meckies. I was like, okay, thank you for breaking that news to me. But yeah, it was back to back.
Yeah, it really just, I don't know. It happened all fast and all of a sudden. And the crazy thing is that hearing from Christian Horner, he still doesn't know the reason. He's still technically employed by Red Bull. He was just relieved of his duties as team principal and CEO. So technically, he's still an employee of Red Bull, and he asked that the press release be delayed for him to go talk to the team, and he addressed everybody and spoke to it. And I feel like he's handled it very well, I guess, if that's a good way to put it. But I feel like he's handled it with a lot of grace, and he's still employed by Red Bull. So I have, from all the stuff I've been watching, and a lot of it comes from the race, is that a lot of the higher ups in Red Bull felt like Horner had too much control over the company. He ran their powertrains division. He was the CEO. He was the team principal. And I had heard that they had wanted him to either step back into just a team principal role, and he did not want to give up his power. So that was a part of a reason. And it works whenever you're winning to have a toxic environment. But as soon as you stop winning, that toxic environment gets really, really bad.
Yeah. And with that toxic environment, it was a thing that I saw coming down the road. I was surprised that it didn't happen after his initial scandal with the female employee, because I think that if I were CEO and if I was in that position, he would have been ousted after that, because that was it was an ugly move, awful situation to put an employee in, especially with that power dynamics that come along with that. And that's why HR systems are in place. So I was surprised that he made it through that. But since they just kind of bulldozed and ignored every question about that, it looked like his position was safe. But the car, like you were alluding to, just isn't good this year, and it's a back of the field car if Max isn't in that driver's seat. So I know Yost wanted him gone, Max wanted him gone. I know I've heard a couple people say that this was a last ditch effort to keep Max Verstappen happy and within the team. So I don't know if that's going to be the case, because there's been a lot of rumblings about him going to Merc. But you've been talking about this the entire time. Max can get into a Red Bull seat or a Racing Bull seat. How high up the grid he's going to get. So Nick, you finally got your wish. You got Lauren Meckies designing the car for Max Verstappen. So do you see this as a positive moving forward within the Red Bull team, or do you think that it's going to cause more uncertainty and chaos, kicking Christian Horner out for the last half of the season?
I think it will cause a lot of chaos, but I think it's better for it to happen now than for it to happen later, I guess is the best way to put it. If this change was always going to happen, it's kind of a bad time to do it in the middle of a race, but also what do you gain from having Christian Horner if you're just going to fire him at the end of the season, which is kind of how these teams think about stuff, especially in the drivers' roles. So if they're already going to sack him, there's no real point of keeping him around now, and to just live with the growing pains and be like, oh, it'll get better.
Yeah, and they do have 3 weeks to allow Lauren Mekies to get up to speed. He's not going to be fully up to speed, but it's a good amount of time for him to come into the team, because they'll have one race in Spa and then another, or a 3 week break after that for the summer break.
100%. And it's like they're going to be with their backs up against the wall no matter what situation you put them in. I mean, just where they are in the championship, their star driver is about to leave, and so it's already a tough spot to take over a team at. They have a very bad car, and without Max, they are back of the grid team. I mean, and we've seen that, and Yuki's a really good driver and he's able to drive it to consistently in the points, but he's a midfield team by himself.
When's the last time Yuki's put it into the points?
Well, he's always around that 10-ish area, 10, 12. Yeah. That's a midfield team.
I'm going to look up Yuki's positions for this.
Yeah, and then what's it called? My first thought whenever I had seen that that Christian was gone was that he got fired because he couldn't keep Max.
Mm-hmm.
And my initial thought was Max signing is like inevitable right now. And hearing that Mercedes is giving the full green light to go after Max is going to be kind of crazy. And to throw it over to Mercedes, I really don't see them moving on from Kimi Antonelli that fast, even though they're both up to contract and they end their contracts at the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
Really don't see them moving on from Kimi, and George Russell is just in a very hard position right now.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to leave that team. Their engine is looking like a rocket ship for 2026, so that's going to give him a real shot at the driver's title next year, and he's going to be able to compete with Lando and Oscar for that driver's championship. I think it's going to be really a three-horse race for 2026, but it does leave George in a difficult spot. So do you think that they are going to kick him out before the end of 2026? And if so, where does he go?
I think it would be hilarious if he went to Red Bull. I don't think he'd actually go to Red Bull, but I think it would be hilarious. I think he'll probably end up either going to Aston Martin or Cadillac, mm-hmm. because those are places where he could lead a team, and George obviously wants to lead a team and he feels like he can. And Mercedes was supposed to be his team to lead, and that really just hasn't worked out. And here's my thing with George. I don't know if Toto ever really liked George. I feel like he likes him as like a driver, but personally, I just watch their interactions and I don't know if Toto really likes George at all.
Well, I feel like George is an acquired taste. He's very British. He is very proper. And I think a lot of the times when I see that on video clips or him interacting with other people, it's not a passive aggressive sort of thing, but you're like, what is underneath the hood? Like there seems to be a facade out front that he's not letting his true feelings or like emotions out, unlike Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton, where if there's something going wrong, they're wearing their hearts, they're wearing their emotion, their hearts on, they are wearing their hearts on their sleeves, and people know what they're feeling and what they're thinking.
And I feel like people almost appreciate that more than being right all the time, because like being right all the time and being in the right, it's kind of boring. Like,
yeah, it's more authentic.
Yeah,
you feel more authenticity to that person.
And I feel like people just want to see, I mean, because they're F1 drivers, they're rock stars, they're superstars.
Mm-hmm.
And like anywhere in the world, they get noticed. But at the end of the day, they're people too, and people like to see people. So.
Yeah, it feels very politician-y. Is how I would put it, is that he's a good comparison would probably be Gavin Newsom. George Russell is the Gavin Newsom of F1, someone that has a lot of talent, that is in a position of power that is sometimes very polarizing, but you will always get a very measured answer coming out of George's mouth, similar to how you get a measured answer coming out of Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, and it's like he's really well PR trained. That girl should
extremely
get a raise, or whoever it is should get a raise, but it's almost like meh.
It's
I don't know.
too.
It's fun to
too.
see people's emotions.
It's
and to
too
see that
buttoned up.
Yeah, to have actual authentic reactions to people, places, things whenever they get hurt, whenever something really annoys them. I feel like it's almost better to see someone's emotions than just be like, "Yep, it's just what it is. Team decision today."
Yeah, and I think that's also where Oscar Piastri has now started to let his personality come through. And we see that he is an angry boy. Very, very, like, I think he's going to be one of the most petty, which is great for an F1 driver and someone who's trying to win each race. But I think I've been having more fun watching him over these last couple of weeks where he has been frustrated and showing more emotion to the camera.
And like, I mean, at the end of the day, Oscar reminds me a lot of Max. Just the way they drive, the way they interact. I think that it's a bromance waiting to happen.
I don't disagree with you. Where do you think everyone lands, and what are your predictions on how the drivers grid shakes out for 2026? So let's just do the top 4 teams, and I guess we can throw in Aston Martin within this group because I think that's a definite contender for both George and Max.
Yeah, and I mean, there's definitely a lot of different possibilities. I really think it's too far out. I know the McLaren's locked up. I know that Hamilton's locked up for a couple of years, same with Leclerc. So I don't think there will be a lot of lateral movement there. I really don't know. I really see, and I have a feeling that Max is going to end up at Mercedes. But at the end of the day, you really never know with these contract things.
Yeah, and I mean, if he does go to Mercedes, I think it's going to have a domino effect very similar to Lewis last year when he signed for Ferrari. So if Max goes to Mercedes, which is where I would put money on, if I had to bet anything, I would choose Max to go to Mercedes. So he's going to be paired with Kimi Antonelli. That leaves potentially two seats up at the big Red Bull team. And I don't know who they're going to try to get. Ferrari, I think, is going to stick with Leclerc and Hamilton. McLaren is sticking with Oscar and Lando, so I don't see them making moves. I think George should look at the Aston Martin project, and if they can convince Lawrence Stroll that if they can't get Max, then he would be a great driver. How long does Fernando's contract go? Do you know that off the top of your head?
I saw a graphic. I should have screenshotted it.
Do you hear that squeak in the back?
Yeah. Okay. So this doesn't have the years they're contracted for.
Because I didn't know if he was on a 1+1.
I really don't know, but I know for 2026, here's what's locked in: Lando and Piastri, Max Verstappen question mark at Red Bull, but he's still there, and then they don't know who the second driver will be. Alonso and Stroll, Behrman and Ocon, Albon and Sainz, Hulkenberg and Bartoletto, Visa, Cash App, Red Bull. Visa Cap is Red Bull. They don't have anybody signed for 2026. Gasly's only signed to Alpine for 2026. Mercedes has no one signed for 2026. And Leclerc and Hamilton are both signed for 2026. So Cadillac, there's also 2 more open seats incoming into F1. So that does kind of throw a wrench into the whole thing. I don't know where everybody shakes up, and I think it's way too early to call a lot of people. I do feel like Alpine will be calling on Valtteri Bottas to replace Colapinto.
Yeah. So does that happen? My prediction is that if they do that, it's going to happen at the summer break.
Yeah.
Because
that's how I feel.
Colapinto's just had too many crashes, not only this year, but last year. He's shown a consistent theme or a consistent, I'm blanking on the word. He's a consistent streak or habit of crashing. And I think he just costs the team too much money to have him stay on board.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, he was supposed to score points, not crash the car, and compete with his teammate. And that's what his main goals for the team were whenever he got signed on.
Yeah. Speaking of teammates crashing, people have been all up in arms and defending Esteban Ocon and the video that I made. Have you seen any of the comment sections?
I have. And your Esteban Ocon hate was not tolerated.
No, it's not. Esteban, regardless of what you think, he does have some of the most loyal fans within the F1 community. And good on you.
Did that happen a lot on TikTok?
What?
happen a lot on TikTok or on YouTube?
I think it varies between the sources that I'm on, but it was funny because a person had commented, it's like Esteban has he is a good F1 driver, and the two collisions that he had with Sergio Perez at Racing Point were not his fault. And I went back through his crashes, and he is currently and all time the person who has crashed with his teammate the most. So he has 7 crashes with his teammates, like 7 collisions with his teammates, including the one that he had with Oliver Behrman in Silverstone. But he's crashed with Fernando Alonso twice, Sergio Perez 3 times. I think he crashed with with Pierre once, and then Ollie Behrman once. And the next person on that list is Lewis Hamilton, and he's crashed into his teammate 5 times. 3 were with Nico Rosberg, which are super high profile crashes, and then I believe it was once with Jenson Button and once with George Russell.
Yeah.
So it like the proof is in the pudding. The next most consistent number of times that 2 teammates have come in and collided were 2. So like Prost and Senna came together twice. A couple other people have come together twice, and that's the typical one. So like if 2's the average, 7 is way above that, and the next person on that list is the 7-time world champion, Lewis Hamilton. So, and I apologize for any squeaks or ruffles in the background. That is Twyla playing with her squeaky toy cow.
Man, this is funny.
What's up?
They posted a graphic of Christian Horner, and it said 1 spy scroll, 2 affairs, 79 leak files, and 0 job.
That's funny. And you were telling me the other day that Christian Horner has been the team principal at Red Bull longer than you have been alive. So how does that feel, knowing that he's been around longer than your entire lifespan?
I don't know. It's very interesting. There's some old people out here. Definitely very interesting to see a new shakeup.
Yeah. So how do you think Lauren Mecke is going to do in that Red Bull seat, or as the Red Bull team principal?
I think he'll do a fine job. He's done a really good job at Racing Bulls. And so the funny thing about Racing Bulls, and it is the way it is right now because of Christian. So Horner, all of a sudden, he was like, man, you know what? Red Bull, the second team's not really not doing well. We need to get them up a level. We need more cash flow in. So he was a big part of the Visa Cash App deal. He moved him into a lot of Milton Keynes scenarios. He hired, who's now took his job, but he hired him and reconvinced him on the Red Bull Cash App dream. So he's really taken that team up from the brink to compete where it is now. So that's a very interesting thing to note.
Yeah, and he does have a good track record. He's been at McLaren before. He was at Ferrari before this. I know he was part of the FIA also before taking the Visa Cash App Red Bull team principal shot. So like if he can rebuild Red Bull like he has rebuilt that team over 2 years since Franz Tost got kicked to the curb, I think that he does have a very good shot. Do you think that he stays as their team principal even after the season? I guess that's my biggest question.
I do. I feel like they will keep him around just for at least a little bit of stability in that team.
Okay, so you don't think that they're going to get a big name? Because that was my initial thought, was similar to how the NFL coaches get an interim head coach, or NBA teams get an interim head coach when Tibbs or whoever gets fired. They don't always go with him for the next season. And with Red Bull being such a big name and one of the top 4 teams, I figured that it was a possibility that they could go after someone with more cachet and more aura.
Yeah, and I mean, I just think they'll keep him, because I just have a good feeling that they won't just intern him. I feel like they'll keep him.
Okay, that's fair. The one name that I did want to throw out is Andrea Silva. So after I don't believe he is with, I'll have to go check, but I know Sauber had him, but as their CEO, and I don't believe he's still there. I think I remember him getting fired or moving to a different like section of the F1, their F1 team. So I think that's someone that I think could come in and would be a big name, really helped McLaren get to where they are at competing the year before that, 2023, when they came out with their big upgrade package that shot them up to the front of the grid.
Yeah. 100%.
So that's just a name that I would keep in mind.
Are you ready to get in the game?
Yeah. Any final questions or final thoughts on what are your final thoughts on the Christian Horner, Max, Red Bull saga that's going on?
I think Max will end up in a Mercedes. I think that Christian will continue to be at Red Bull, but maybe just in part of like the power change, and they've just lessened his power grip on the whole company. I feel like George Russell will end up driving for Cadillac, and Valtteri Bottas will take the seat at Alpine at the summer's break.
Fair enough. I think I agree with you. Max Mercedes is almost a locked deal. They have the financial means to pay out that 102 million pound buyout of his contract. So I think that's going to go on, especially since the CEO of Mercedes whole company gave the green light to Toto to go pursue Max. So I think that's going to come down the road. I feel bad for George and just being at the wrong place at the wrong time. I think Red Bull could be an option for him and just do a little driver swap. And then I'm excited to see what shakes out over these next couple weeks.
Oh, 100%.
All right, Nick, let's get into our we have a blind rankings for me. You've chosen some helmet designs, and we're going to rank those from 1 to 5 next. All right, I'm back. Twy had just disemboweled a cow stuffed animal and was chewing out the squeakers, and it had like 3 or 4 squeakers inside it, and it looked like she was just tearing out the intestines. They were like little sausage links.
That's funny. All right. Are you ready?
I am ready, Nick. Let's get into it. Where I'll let you drive. Go for it.
All right. Welcome, Ben. I have these 5 F1 helmets that you have to blind rank. There's 5 of them, and I feel like they should give you a good little challenge. And they're some of my personal favorites. We'll definitely run it back another week. You may pick 5, and I'll throw some up. But leading us off, I have Lando from the Miami Grand Prix. Never mind. Alex Albon.
Starting with Albon.
Is up first.
Okay, so
Albon. This is his golf helmet. I'm pretty sure it was also for Miami.
Yeah, I believe that this is his Miami helmet 2020. Or this was last year?
I want to say.
Yeah, I believe this is last year because this year he came out with an orange one. So he looked like a little like orange, which is appropriate for the Sunshine State. No, this one's really cool, and I know that he got this partly because of his girlfriend, partner, who is a professional golfer on the LPGA. This is cool. I do like golf, but it wasn't my favorite helmet design, so let's throw it up in the 3 spot for today.
In 3 spot. All right, yeah. It's definitely up there for me. Now, we have Lando Norris's helmet coming in with the basketball dome.
Yeah, so the drivers absolutely loved doing a one-off helmet for Miami. This is honestly, when I first saw this, one of my favorite helmet designs that I had ever seen. So the texture that he got, it looks like a basketball. It looks like I could go out and dribble it, and it's probably my personal favorite one. Oh, actually, his one this year was really cool. Lando does have some really cool helmet designs. So let's throw this basketball one up in the 2 spot. Yeah, give me this spot. In the 2 spot. There's one helmet of Lando's that was this year. So if you bring that, that's definitely my number 1.
All right. Well, next up you have Logan Sargent's, and if you notice theme, these all have been United States Grand Prix helmets so far, but we have Logan Sargent's 2024 Texas U.S. Grand Prix livery or helmet. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I never really was in love with Logan Sargent's helmet design. American flag, first American driver in like 15 years. Understand the hook'em horns on the top. Love that aspect of it, but it just seems a bit boring for me. So I'm going to throw it in the 4 spot, and the only reason that I'm not throwing it in the 5 is because there's a hook'em horns on top. So horns up, let's go, baby.
All right, awesome. Moving right along, we have Sonny Hayes' helmet from the F1 movie.
Yeah,
let me know your thoughts.
I'm gonna throw that down in 5. It's a helmet. It's nothing spectacular. Has a little spade on the side, which I'm guessing is the card that he had in his pocket the entire time. But other than that, it's the muted color. It doesn't pop off of the grid or pop off when I look at it. So definitely a 5 spot for me today.
To be honest, I really thought that they were going to let like Brad Pitt and the other co-star design their own helmets. I thought that would have been a really cool touch, and just to have their own design on
and I think part of my problem with this is that the color's so muted that it washes out Brad Pitt. They definitely should have done that color matching, whatever, to get your seasons. Color Pantone, whatever that's called. But yeah, it's not high on my list. But it would have been cool. They should have had them design their own helmets.
That was my first thought whenever I saw the movie. Anyways, moving on. So now this is kind of your certified 1 spot, and I think you're going to enjoy what it is the Aston Martin Japanese Grand Prix from Fernando Alonso.
I think that this one's cool. If I had to redo my list, I probably would have thrown Lando's basketball helmet up in 1. This would have gone strongly in my 2nd spot, but throw it up in 1. It's a really cool helmet. And do you know who designed this?
No, I did not. I do not. But that wouldn't be your automatic number 1?
No,
That's kind of crazy to
me.
My
automatic number 1 is Lando Norris's disco helmet. Like, I thought that helmet this year in Miami was so much fun. I absolutely loved every second of looking at that helmet.
And I really didn't like that helmet that much. But this is one of my favorite helmets. So we'll always run it back, and then maybe next time you'll bring the helmets to the table.
Yeah. I'm not upset with my list. I think it's a solid 5 helmets. And I'm sure, like you and a bunch of people today, this is your number 1 helmet. Mm-hmm. So, no, thanks for putting these together. This was fun, and I will for sure run it back. We can do this next time that we record. So, yeah, no, I love it. It's cool to see the personalities of every driver as they get into F1 and design their own helmets for a special race weekend. Yeah, but those Torii gates at the bottom are really cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Nick. Any final closing thoughts for the people today? None? Okay. Well, for me...
Nope, no thoughts.
No thoughts. Well, for me, please, thank you for... I just want to say thank you for everyone listening, everyone that's watching our shorts and videos on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We really appreciate the support. Comment, like, subscribe. It really helps us deliver you guys this content. It helps the algorithm and get it to more people. And as we start to grow and as we start to do more of this, we really couldn't do it without your help. So just wanted to say a big thank you to all of our fans out there. But yeah, that's it for me today. So Nick, I think your tires are your tires have a bald spot on them. They're graining really hard. You're getting caught by Lance Stroll, so I need you to come into the pit and what?
Box, retire the car.
Right.
Retire the car.
Peace. See you guys next time.